So, I'm sure you lot are familiar with the story of how Mike Tyson was once on a date at a zoo in New York City before he noticed one of the male gorillas bullying the smaller ones. He then would offer to pay the zookeeper 10 grand in order to let him go inside the gorilla enclosure to teach him a lesson. Well, luckily for Mike and the gorilla, the zookeeper was smart enough to refuse the offer and didn't let him inside. However, in this hypothetical scenario, we'll be going through what if Mike Tyson was allowed in the cage. In whose favour does the outcome swing to? The mighty gorilla or Iron Mike? G'day ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host bringing you all another video. This being on one of the most famous boxers in history put up against the gorilla. This is arguably one of the most insane debates people go back and forth on. So we'll go through each side's stats and then we'll go into who wins and why. Kicking it off with Mike Tyson. In this battle, we'll be using a prime composite Mike Tyson. Now for those of you that doesn't understand what that means, this means he'll have all the experience and wisdom of his later age while still having his best body and skills from his youth. I mean, I think it's only fair we give him this, considering he's going up against a gorilla. Tyson is a boxing legend. His career spanned over 2 decades and with that came loads of experience. His career record was 50 wins to 6 losses. In total, he had 44 knockouts, which made him widely known throughout the boxing sphere for his knockout power. Taking a look at his physical stats, we see that at his peak height, he measured around 178 centimeters tall. Now look, that may not be basketball player size, but he was capable of using his shorter height to his advantage. His weight was approximately 98 kilograms, which made him both stocky and a powerful adversary. In his prime, he was very muscular, and this translated well with his punches. Just how much force was he able to deliver behind a punch? Well, according to a study completed by Thrillist, Mike was able to deliver a punch of 1600 joules of force. This would be the equivalent of being hit by a Vespa moving at 15 kilometers an hour, or being hit by a dorm fridge full of beer from a 2nd-story window. Now that's not something a normal person could shrug off. And if you think about it, all that force is condensed into a single punch, so you can only imagine the damage that Tyson could have delivered onto his opponents. But just because he was a unit and a half, that doesn't mean he was a slowpoke. His punches at the very least would have reached 40 kilometers an hour. Now that is at the very least, as I got that figure from the average boxer's speed. Now we all know that if it's something that Mike isn't, it's average. So I don't have an exact number to calculate him at, but I'd at the very least put him at striking speeds of 50 kilometers an hour. This would also translate to the reaction speed, as if boxers were punching at the same speed, if not greater, it means that Tyson would have had to react to attacks moving at 11 meters per second. I think that this means that Mike is more than capable of reacting to the gorilla for a good portion of the fight. We also don't have exact movement speeds for Mike, but considering he incorporated cardio into his routine, I think it's fair to say we would place him above the average Joe. Estimates from what I've seen place him at around 12 kilometers an hour, which makes sense as it would put him at a good runner level. You also have to take into account that since Mike Tyson is a human, it means that he has both an IQ and battle IQ advantage. I feel when it comes to IQ, it's quite obvious. Humans have much bigger brains when compared to other mammals. We're able to carry out complex thoughts, craft, utilize tools, create unmatched technology, come up with strategies, and have complex and effective communication. Now when you take a look at his battle IQ, with the many fights that Tyson has partaken in, it has resulted in a hardened, resolved, and a near unmatched level of skill that could rival the greats. This battle IQ directly correlates with his combat and skill. He was a master of the peekaboo boxing technique, which is characterized by his high guard, relentless head movement, and the ability to slip inside of an opponent's reach. Tyson's lightning fast combination of punching, devastating hooks, and incredible uppercuts made him a fearsome force in the heavyweight division. Now taking a step back and looking at the story of his desire to teach the gorilla bully a lesson, it doesn't outright state what type of gorilla Mike Tyson wanted to challenge. But I'm going to use a silverback mountain gorilla for this scenario. The mountain gorilla is the largest ape in our current time. They are a symbol of untamed strength and natural fortitude. They reign supreme as a testament to the unyielding resilience of the wild. Looking at his physical stats, they measure around 171 centimeters in height. Now technically there have been silverbacks that have grown over 190 centimeters, but we won't use that as that would be completely unfair for Mike. But no matter what way you look at it, the gorilla will have the mass advantage over Tyson. They usually weigh between 140 to 200 plus kilograms, but in this battle we'll use a conservative 180. Not too heavy, not too light. But yet even with this conservative weight, it's still practically twice as much as Tyson. You also need to take a look at their skeletal structure. I mean, it's something else. Gorillas are clearly far more solidly built when compared to humans, especially in the skull. That'll prove to be an issue for Mike, as gorillas are capable of tanking a significant amount of blunt force. And with all that weight and muscle comes extraordinary strength. And I mean, fun fact, their mass density is around 4 times more than elite athletes. Which makes sense as they often carry the entire weight when carrying trees, as well as pulling out thick plants for food. Now, depending on which place you look, gorillas could be either 6 to 18 times the strength of the average Joe. This means that the silverback would undoubtedly be stronger than Tyson, no matter what way you look at it. You also have to take into account that gorillas don't punch like we do. Their fists aren't built for it, and even if they were, they don't have technique behind it. Instead, they often flail around, throwing their arms with incredible force at their opponents. I also want to note that an arm swing from a gorilla may deliver between 1,300 to 2,700 pounds of force. However, I could not find an ironclad research article about that, so I guess we'll have to take that more so with a grain of salt. But they have a weapon that certainly outclasses Mike Tyson, this being their jaws. A gorilla's jaws are capable of delivering a bite of up to 1,300 psi. This is stronger than lions, bears, and even Mike Tyson himself. I know, it's a bit of a shock. This would result in a massive amount of piercing damage that not even Mike Tyson could contest with. And despite being heavy and stocky, they are surprisingly quick. And I mean quick. They're capable of reaching speeds of 40 kilometers an hour, which means that Mike won't be able to utilize much of his travel speed throughout this fight. Although I do still think that Mike has the agility over the gorilla. Another weakness is the lack of IQ and battle IQ. Don't get me wrong, gorillas are smart when compared to other animals, but when comparing an IQ of an animal to humans, they're often put to shame. Now, battle IQ isn't as much of a weakness for gorillas here, as they have to deal with conflicts within and between gorilla groups, as well as defending themselves from predators like leopards. Although I do have to note that gorillas have a poor scoreboard against leopards, with the latter often being successful in their hunts, despite being so much smaller. So, both corners are set. Who wins this battle? Well, let's take a look at the stats. Mike Tyson takes striking strength, agility, reaction speed, IQ, height, battle IQ, combat, skill, experience, and stamina. Meanwhile, the gorilla takes lifting strength, flailing strength, durability, travel speed, mass, endurance, bite force, and bite effectiveness. Before I say who outright wins, I've got to be honest. I think most people underestimate both sides in different ways. Many underestimate just how powerful gorillas are, while others underestimate just how long Tyson could last in this fight. Tyson's agility, IQ, battle IQ, and skills would certainly come into play in keeping him safe for some time. I could also see Tyson getting a good few hits in, especially during the beginning of the fight. He would surely take the gorilla by surprise. Mike would have to unleash his full strength early on and hopefully, and I mean hopefully, get lucky with an uppercut to lay out the gorilla. But come on, if we're being serious here, there's a low chance Mike would be able to put down the gorilla, especially an adult silverback. The gorilla is twice his weight, has 10 times the bite force, is far stronger and faster, as well as being built to sustain heavy blows from other gorillas. Depending on how Mike plays it, the battle may last a minute to far longer, but I just don't see Mike being able to take the victory, to deliver the finishing blow. The scenario I see unfolding is Mike going on the offense, landing a few combos before the gorilla eventually charges and overwhelms him with the fury of swings. I feel that gorilla's brutish style of charging and wildly swinging with all their muscle would overwhelm most defenses. Also, there have even been reports of 10 plus chimps jumping silverbacks, and yet silverbacks are powerful enough to throw them off and remain in good shape. This should tell you all that you need to know, as chimpanzees are crazy when it comes to both strength, speed, IQ, and brutalness. The gorilla is simply too strong and too durable for Mike to lay out. And sure, I'm not saying that Mike couldn't deliver some powerful blows throughout the fight, but there's just no way that he'd be able to rest the silverback gorilla. I feel that fighters such as John Jones would be better suited for these sorts of fights. And to be honest, they'd be better put up against a chimp than a gorilla. And yes, boxing is a powerful fighting style to learn, but outside of humans, specifically against far heavier animals, I feel that it falters quite a bit. I hope that this ends the debate here. I give the victory to the mountain gorilla. To be honest, what I found most crazy throughout my research of this subject was the amount of videos I came across that said Mike Tyson would win. That just didn't make any sense to me, but I digress. Anyways though, I hope you all enjoyed this unexpected video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all next time. See ya.